We are live.
All right, we are live. We are live and direct. Hey, everyone, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the broadcast. I certainly do appreciate you. We're getting ready to have a very, very complex, a very important discussion. And the discussion tonight is the effects childhood adult trauma has on dating relationships. And I have two beautiful women of God who's with me tonight who's going to discuss this topic. And I'm telling you, it's going to be something that is really going to touch your lives, touch your hearts. And in the midst of everything, I'm hoping that there's some healing that can take place. And also, I'm hoping that what these ladies say and what I say tonight is going to encourage you to overcome some of these struggles that you may have because of childhood and adult trauma. And so we thank you once again for tuning in. Hey, how you doing? What's up, Matthew? What's going on? Shireen, how you doing? And we are definitely ready to go. But before we get started, I want to introduce my guest to you tonight, and we're going to start from the left to the right. And you ladies can tell the audience a little bit about yourselves, anything you'd like for them to know about you. And go ahead, Shay, and introduce yourselves.
Hey y'all. So I am Shay. I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am definitely a believer. I work in human traffic services. I'm an advocate. I am a kingdom marriage advocate, and I'm glad to be here with y'all.
Hey, you guys. Good evening, good afternoon, whichever time zone you're in. My name is Tania Pear, and I am a believer. I love the Lord, and I most importantly love His people. I just love to talk about mental health awareness, and I've committed my life to living out my testimony, but being a source of hope to anybody that I come into. And so that's what I do. That's what I love. And I'm excited to share this topic with you all.
Absolutely, absolutely. So glad to have you, ladies. And this is, I think, a much needed conversation that needs to take place. And these ladies are just are ready to share how they feel about this particular subject. If you don't know me, my name is Elder Tomell Brown of Fruit Bear Ministries. I am the founder of Single Save with No Kids. I'm also a singer-songwriter, and I am coming out with a single. It's called "It's All About You." So get ready for it coming this fall. And so God is blessing and God is moving. And you can catch me on social media, and you can find me YouTube and different places. And at the end of this broadcast, you'll find out where to find these ladies as well, Shay and Tania. And so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to go ahead and start off with Tania. And of course, like I said previously, please lend your ear because I think this is going to be a very, very healing conversation. And so, Tania, let's start with you with this first question. Have you experienced mental trauma as a child that has affected your personal and romantic relationships?
Yes, absolutely. So, for starters, and just a little bit about my testimony, my mom had me at 15, and she was a single mom for many years. And so, as a child, I was raised without my dad. Hey, that's my bestie. I was raised without my dad, and I was neglected of love, of attention, of support, of just feeling needed and wanted. And so, not having that in the household or experiencing that from a father, I was looking for validation and acceptance in men. Not only just that, I went into my adult years having trust issues. So imagine trying to get someone so new, you're guarded, you're thinking the worst. And not only that, and wanting to feel validated, I would over just pretty much give myself and just do a lot because I wanted that attention. I wanted that love. I wanted someone to say, I need you. I desire you. I want you. But going through that so much as a child, I went through depression. I went through, not feeling like I had a purpose. I went through depression, and I remember as if like it was yesterday as a child, I would cry myself to sleep and hope that I wouldn't wake up the following day. That hurt went throughout my teenage years, throughout my adult years, until I found Christ. And I tell people all the time, in order for you to really love yourself or get to know, you have to really build a relationship with God. You have to. And it got to the point where I went through so much hurt that I say, God, I just want to know you. I need you. And I was so broken and had so many trust issues that I thought God didn't want to get to learn me, didn't want to know me. And so when I went through that, and I just went through my journey of healing. But the trust issues, the assumptions, the fears, the just thinking that somebody is out to hurt me, it affected my relationships. I've sabotaged some relationships. Some relationships ended because of me, but I had to get to a space of maturity. And this is what we'll talk about, throughout the broadcast. I had to get to a space where I had to look at me. I couldn't look at the men. I couldn't look at my mom. I couldn't look at my dad. I had to look at me. Ownership, taking accountability is what's freeing. It will help heal and free people from the challenges of childhood trauma. We have to check in with ourselves. So, yeah, I'm excited about this discussion.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I think, I don't think people realize, how important it is to have two parents in the home. And so I share that same experience. I didn't grow up with my father in the home, and it did affect me in a negative way in some aspects as well. And we'll get into that a little bit later, but I want to give Shay a chance to. And so we've heard from Tania, and she said some really powerful things about some of the things that she experienced. She said she even sabotaged some relationships because of some of the pain that she was experiencing. And so we're going to get into all of that, but I want to go ahead and go to Shay, and she can, that same question, Shay, have you experienced any childhood trauma that has affected your personal relationships as well?
Absolutely. I would have thought that Tania was my twin, or we grew up in the same household, because we have very similar stories. My father passed when I was, I believe, about 18 months. So I always had a longing and a desire for him because he wasn't there. My mom, she was a young mother. She had multiple children, and I was very fearful of her. Growing up, it was, she raised and ruled with an iron fist. So I was very hyper vigilant, very performance based, if you will, with everything that I did. She wasn't nurturing. I always explained it that I could see her, but she wasn't present. So we never had conversations. I definitely suffered from, abuse and neglect, and just having to grow up faster than I was supposed to. So I really didn't have a childhood. I didn't get an opportunity to really experience things. So once I got older and I started developing relationships, friendships was very easy. I had no issues or problems making friends because those were people that I chose. So just looking at my family dynamic, I was born into this family. I didn't have a choice. So because I was able to exercise a choice with friendships, those were healthy relationships that I had, even though it was nothing that was mirrored around me, because all that was around me was chaos. And so as it relates to dating and relationships, I didn't know how to date. I didn't see anyone around me dating. As it related to relationships, it was taught to me that it was a transaction. So I didn't value romantic relationships. I did not want to be in a romantic relationship, because what does that look like? I don't know what love is. I mean, clearly love hurts from the way that I see it. So it wasn't anything that I wanted. And just like Tania said, I sabotaged relationships. I did not get close. I detached myself very easily because to get close to somebody was scary. Yeah. So, you know, how I got out of that, it really took for me to experience Christ for myself, for him to teach me what love looked like through the way that he loves us, and to change my heart, you know, and to understand that relationships of all sorts are needed.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so as you're listening to the ladies, as Shay was saying, that she shares some of the same experiences that Tania shared. And I'll just share just a little bit about mine. And so I come from a single parent home, and also, and so I was, you know, I'm the middle child. So I was raised with my brother and my sister. We're all 4 years apart. I'm the middle child, and was the one that was seen to be getting in the most trouble, getting the most whoopings and everything because of my rebellious behavior. And so it did not come, as I believe, it did not stem. I don't believe my behavior stemmed from my father not being there. I just was a child that just grew up who was very mischievous, and I got love from my mother. But I did feel that absence of a father, because even though I did grow up with some stepfathers, you know, I realized that some of those stepfathers, they really didn't like me. And with me being a child that was very outspoken, and a child that, you know, would speak my mind, you know, I'd be talking back and everything. And so, of course, you know, the stepfather didn't like that. But my mother, she chastised us as well. And so what happened is when things went wrong, and when we were struggling for a while, I would always think that, you know, maybe if my pops was around, then maybe we wouldn't be struggling so much. Maybe he could provide us some help. And so he never was around. I didn't meet my father. I only met my father probably about 8 or 9 times out of my life. So I never had a good male role model growing up. And so I didn't have that tough love. Only my mother, she was one who extended that tough love, that discipline to us. But with raising 3 kids, some of that was lacking. And so I said when I was growing up, because of the treatment from some of my stepfathers, I said, if I ever seen my father, I would spit in his face, because he was not there to help me. That's how angry I was. That's how mad I was that he was not around. And every time my mother mentioned him, she always used to say, you look just like your father, but I don't know him, you know? And so I look like, but hey, I don't even know anything about this man. And so think about what these ladies are saying, what I'm saying. We're going to get a little more deeper into things, but it's so important. And that's why, and has affected me, I would say, throughout the years of even being the way I am. And because of the treatment of some of the stepfathers, I wasn't sexually abused or anything like that. I was not sexually abused or molested or any of that kind of thing. But he treated some of the other kids a little bit better than me. And I'll give an example, and then we get back to Tania and we get back to Shay. Is, you know, I grew up in Syracuse, New York. And so it's really cold in the wintertime, cold, 0 below. I mean, it's really cold. And so usually when it's cold like that, you know, we'd get a ride to school. And so I remember, and this is just an example of my cousin at the time was staying with us, and my brother, my older brother, and my stepfather, he took them and drove them to school and left me behind. And I had to walk in the snow to school, walking all that 6 feet inch deep snow and all the way to school. But, you know, I was still a warrior. I made it, but that was kind of the dirty things that used to take place as a child growing up. So I'm just like, wow, man, I wonder if my father was around, would I be getting treated this way by this man, or will I be getting neglected in that kind of way? And so these are all things that go through your head, that go through your mind. And so it made me bitter at my biological father. And so I'll get into some more things, but those are the kind of things that really affect you as a child coming up, and it makes you not really trust anybody. And so I'll talk about, you know, some other stuff moving forward. And so you ladies, do you want to add to a little bit about what you've heard so far, and we get into the other stuff as well?
Well, I would say, just even based on what you've shared, that is one thing that I never, again, like I said, I never had relationships around. One thing, my mother, she never had, men around us. So we never saw relationships. We never saw any type of healthy interaction. All we knew was just chaos. So as far as my relationships go, because all I had was my mother, I was, again, seeking love in all the wrong places, didn't know what I was looking for because I just knew that I wanted to feel something. I was very much numb. Like, I didn't have feelings. And when I was young and dating, guys would say, oh, you act just like a dude. And I was just like, I wore it as a badge of honor, not realizing, like, girl, you jacked up. So it even, if you will, I guess, snatched my femininity, my softness, because I felt like I had to have this hard exterior to block myself from getting hurt. So again, I would detach quickly. I wouldn't even really allow relationships to develop. So if it wasn't moving quick enough, it was like, okay, I'm out of here, because to invest too much time, anything can happen. So, I just had control issues, if you will. If it wasn't going the way that I wanted it to go, it wasn't happening.
Yeah, and I'd like to add on that in regards of not knowing what to look for. Like, you don't have the examples of healthy relationship, of knowing how to be loved on effectively, how to love effectively. A lot of the ways that I've moved as a teenager and as a young adult, I wanted to give, and this is something that I thought about even throughout the day. I wanted to give love, but I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to show support, to let somebody know that I care about them. My caring and demonstration of love was neglecting me in any way that they desire to neglect me or to make me feel uncomfortable. I thought it was normal. My main thing was to give somebody a piece of me so that then they can feel loved and also that I feel wanted, but it was toxic. So I had to really think back, why do you give the way that you do? Why do you love people the way that you do? And how does it look like? How is it affecting your relationship? Ways that we show love are not always effective. It can be very toxic because we're coming from a space of brokenness. We're coming from a space of hurt, of rejection. So you try to give love. Meanwhile, that's still sitting inside of your heart. That love is not going to be felt the way that you think it should be. So you can break a relationship. You can ruin the dating stages of a relationship or getting to know someone because you're trying to give something that you don't have control over. You have no idea of what you're doing. So I'm telling you, it has to be when a father's love is not a model to his daughter, she does not know what. Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And a lot of us, sometimes we don't understand it until our adult years. And, and then there's this conversation of, oh, she has daddy issues or he has daddy issues. I can't stand it when people say that. That is the most disrespectful, demeaning phrase that you can put on anybody because you don't know why they have these issues. Stop putting these labels on people when you don't know the why. And a lot of times when people say that, they have some unresolved issues within themselves that they don't want to deal with. So it's easy to pull out the flaw in someone else rather than checking in with themselves. So the demonstration, the model, the examples of love and healthy relationships are so important. And it's something that I didn't have. So I did what I thought was right. So.
And I appreciate you ladies sharing your experience and in those testimonies. And so I remember, I thank God for this. I thank God for my mother. She raised us up in the church. And so I thank God for probably having the first role model that I ever had was my pastor. And I give God thanks for my former pastor when I was growing up in Syracuse, New York, Elder Wallace Barkins Sr. of Brotherly Love Church of God in Christ. He was a good man. I remember him coming to cut our hair and things of that nature, coming to check on us, and that's when my mother was single and she didn't have a husband at the time. And so he'd come and he was a man of God, and he just pushed us and encouraged us to get active in the church, get active and just doing things around the church. And so he was the first male role model that I had besides my brother. And so shout out to my big brother, Christopher Rafi Brown, because, he instilled really that tough love in me growing up when I was playing football and basketball. He was that encouragement. But when that, as a man, when that is not there, it can be really tough. It can lead a lot of people to doing things like, which was big in New York, and selling drugs. Like, he was a role model for me, but he got into a lot of different issues and some struggles and some troubles because that tough love from the father was not there. And so he was a great basketball, great football player. I was really good too, but I think he had a chance to go to the pros. But because of that tough love, skipping school and all that kind of stuff, he was telling me to do the right thing. But at the same time, he became one of the biggest drug dealers at one time in Syracuse. And so these were some of the examples and role models that brothers look to as men, to the streets for those role models when we don't have them at home. But I thank God for that role model we had, because it stuck with me as far as with my mother raising us in the church, teaching us right from wrong. That did help us. So we didn't end up locked up in prison or anything, but there was many times where we could have, because of the things that we were doing. And so I think all these things affect relationships moving forward. And my mother didn't play, but like I said, my mother, she did hit us and whoop us and do the best she can, hit us with brooms and anything she can reach, shoot shoes and everything at us to make sure that we were respectful. And, because she was the only one that was raising us. But without that tough love there from the pops, and, I was getting big and tall, and you know what? Hey, look, mama can't tell me what to do, but mama made sure that, hey, look, we was going to respect her. And I never, after a few times trying and getting the blood slapped out of my mouth, hey, look, mama didn't play. You know what I'm saying? But these things really affect us psychologically moving forward into relationships, because, and I'll share this and we'll get to you ladies once again, but I've been in some beautiful relationships with some ladies, and it has affected my dating, I would say, in the aspect of me not wanting to be a stepfather. I don't want to be a stepfather because of the experiences that I had with my stepfather. And I had some great relationships with some ladies. I love the kids and wanted to develop relationships with them. And I did. It was wonderful. But in the back of my mind, I'm just, hey, look, I don't want to be but that's stemming from, I know, from the way I was treated as a stepfather. And just because of that, I never had a desire to be with a woman with kids. So these are the kind of things that take place. And let me ask you, since you ladies, this question too, because we're about to get a little bit more deeper on this thing. And I wanted to ask you guys, has this, and I think you shared a little bit about it, just a little bit, and you can go into detail and, however you feel led, but because of those childhood traumas, what difficulties have you experienced during the process of dating, getting to know someone? I mean, how has that affected you guys?
Oh, you go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, for me, dating, again, I never saw it. I didn't know what it consists of. So I used to say that it takes a lot for me to like someone. So I feel that even being before Christ, I was able to discern. So just relationships were always sketchy to me. I never believed anything that was being said. I took it as a grain of salt because, even how you were saying, Tomell, with your mom, she had to get y'all together the best way that she could. So what I experienced was my mom or whoever would say, do X, Y, and Z. I do that, and then I did it wrong. So I was always just fearful of getting it wrong. I didn't want to invest in anything as it related to me. Again, I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what I was looking for. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how I wanted to be treated. I didn't know what it looked like to be cared for because I was the caretaker. So I had really bad codependency issues. You know, all I knew was codependency. So the way that I showed love was in what I did. And even still, I rejected people doing anything for me. You know, if someone's like, hey, I want to do X, Y, and Z, I rejected it all the time because it was like, you trying to take my job away from me. That's what I'm supposed to do. So again, I was never able to really make strong connections with people. I had attachments, which were very unhealthy. I had trauma bonding, which was very unhealthy, but I never had or allowed myself to have and develop connections due to what I saw. I had an unhealthy attachment. I was very reactive. I just didn't know. I was jacked up. I was jacked up.
And that's just real shade. And I think, and it does, I know it does affect relationships moving forward, especially in the dating process, because I think that, like you guys were saying, that when you're looking for love, sometimes you give more than you should, or you stay longer than you should in these relationships, because you may be feeling that love from that individual that may have lacked, from a parent, or, but it may not still be a situation that you should be in, but because that there's some resemblance of love, and you're feeling something that you were missing, you'll probably stay in a relationship longer than you should, when you should be getting out of it, because you really, after getting to know someone, that's why I think it's very important to really get to know someone, because there were times where I was in relationships with women, and I just thought, dude, there's something wrong with this girl. I mean, what? I mean, she is so jealous. Why is this girl so jealous? And so I never thought to think maybe she was jealous, or maybe she was, possessive in that nature, because of her past, or what she may have gone through. And so when love is lacking, and you feel like, when you don't get a lot of attention, I would say, as a child, and then when this man gives you this attention, and then when they feel like it's being put on somebody else, not so much trying to take anything or any time or any care away from that individual, but she used to, really get into her feelings, and really, I mean, hey, I just said hello. I just said hello to the waitress. I just said, hey, oh, she's smiling at you, and you smiling back at her. It's like, what? We at a restaurant. Let's enjoy ourselves. I mean, I'm just being cordial. I'm just a nice guy. But like you said, you don't know what stems from it. And now let me say this, and I know it's important for men to make their woman feel loved, and make them feel like they don't need to be worried about another woman. And that was taking place. But it's just some things within that people just never share, but it comes out in the end. And I'll leave it there and let you guys go ahead and kick in there. I know you want to say something, Tania.
I had so many thoughts going on at the same time. What I will say is what I feel like I need to discuss right now. You made a comment about how women, sometimes they're like, the woman was act like extremely jealous, and just, the insecurities and everything that was going on. That was my issue in my dating, and even just in the dating stage. Someone could come around and be so nice, so kind, but in my mind, I'm thinking, why are you being so nice? Is this real? I'm just always thinking the worst. And because when you enter into a new space of experiencing change, you're testing it. You're just like, oh my, is this real? Like, what's wrong? Something's going to happen. Something's going to go bad. You're going to always question it because of the insecurities. And so when I jumped out there at the time, and I was really like, okay, T, just relax. Just let it flow. Relax. I was just expecting for the person, because they were so nice, so good. I was expecting them to leave. I didn't think that they would stick around, or this would be consistent. There was a lack of inconsistency in my childhood that I thought and assumed the same for anybody that came into my life. So there were times that I would ruin the beginning stages, we're literally maybe 3 weeks in, and I already have trust issues. I'm already thinking, well, am I being too nice? Am I checking on you too much? Am I, doing this too much? Are you ready? Are you about to leave me? I struggle so much with rejection as a child that everybody that came into my life, I was expecting for them to do the same. So it's deep. It's really deep. And a lot of relationships and marriages are ruined because of these things, because a lot of times we don't want to check in and like deal with these issues. And so we can ruin a good thing. We can ruin a really good thing because of our fears, because of our anxieties. And so I think there was a comment and it said a father's affirmation is powerful. It really is for a daughter. I'm telling you, or for a son too. It's needed, because if it's not there, we're going to always look for it elsewhere. And we're looking for it, like how Shay said, in the wrong places. And we're accepting the bare minimum. Sometimes people don't even give you the bare minimum. They just giving you whatever scraps because they feel like they don't need to put in that effort. So we go on into relationships and, we're accepting less because we don't know that we deserve the best. We don't know that we deserve consistency. And sometimes people will only give you what they're at the capacity that they can give. They can only give you the capacity they're able to give. So, and that's okay. That's fine. But a lot of times we go with that because we don't believe that we deserve more or something better. So that affirmation is powerful. It's needed. And I really, really, really appreciated that comment. Yeah. Can't hear you.
Go ahead and jump in there, Shay. Looks like you want to say something.
Oh, well, again, I mean, both you as well as Tomell, I mean, we are just really just mirroring the same thing. I guess I really didn't realize that I was dealing with rejection until I was an adult. I didn't realize that I had a fear of abandonment until I was an adult. And then it got to a point where I was aware of my reason why. I was aware of my behaviors. I was able to connect the dots to say, oh, well, you know what? I do this because of this. I do that because of this. But I was cool. Like, I didn't have a desire to change anything. It was just like, well, at least I know. Because again, relationships, they were dangerous to me, because they were so unpredictable. They were so unexpected. So again, early stages of dating someone, there is this expectation that doesn't even exist. I'm setting the bar this high. Who can meet that? Like, okay, you didn't do this, you didn't say this, you didn't. And if people like, what? I mean, how am I supposed to know? So I'm not even leaving any room for error, because you are supposed to come perfection 5,000. And if you aren't that, something is wrong with you. Get away from me. I'm done. So people, be like, oh, well, what happened to, oh, we're done. What happened to, that was, I was, it's just dangerous to set expectations for people that they're unaware of. And the reality was I was expecting these people to come along and heal me from my brokenness. And so because I was aware of what my jacked up ways, that's what I would lead with. So when I meet somebody and I'm like, okay, I may like this person, I'm giving it to you. Okay, this is what's wrong with me, X, Y, Z, A through Z. Can you deal with it? And they just like, well, I mean, I like you, so sure. And I'm like, what? I mean, I'm trying to run people off, but and also giving them an opportunity to choose me, and it's like, you've expressed your interest. That wasn't enough. Like, I needed reassurance constantly, because nobody was affirming me. Nobody was validating me. Nobody was saying, hey, you're awesome. You're wonderful. You're this, you that. And with friends versus intimate relationships, it's a complete difference. It's a complete difference, from hearing it from a friend saying, girl, you all letting a bag of chips, versus a boo thing, telling you these things. And when they say it, you still side-eyeing them. So
Yeah, and I'm saying, ladies, did it really kind of make your patience wear thin that you just cut people off with the quickness? Like, look, lady, uh, it may not have probably even been something that was, real terrible that a man did, but you would be just like, you know what? Hey, we're done.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, hey, it wasn't some of these things that didn't even call for that. We could have talked this thing out. So did that make you guys kind of, not stand for anything, not have any patience at all, and just cut people off?
I think for me, because I lived a childhood of lack, so I just accepted whatever. I didn't have, I guess, the boldness that Shay had, earlier on to, I'm not settling for just anything. So because of the depths of my challenges with my dad and not feeling loved and not feeling wanted, I accepted whatever. However, in my adult years, that's when I began to say, okay, look, some things I'm just not going to deal with. But it took a lot of maturity. So in growing and being growing as an adult, I had to develop the patience. I had to check myself. I did a lot. I think that's the greatest thing that any person can have. You have to have self-awareness. You have to be humble enough to check into yourself. So that patience definitely continued to grow and mature. But it was a lot. I had a lot of growing, but a lot of growing within knowing who I was to not settle for any and everything. So yeah.
And when did that realization kick in? Like, when you realize, say, I'm doing way too much. I'm short tempered. I'm giving this man all this love, and he's not giving it to me in return. What happened? What was one of those experiences, those times when you just realized, hey, I'm really tripping. I really need to heal.
Yeah, I think for me, after my 30s, after I turned 30, I didn't get it in my early 20s, mid 20s. When you're an adult, I really believe a woman doesn't become a woman until she's in her 30s, because there are things that you have to own up to say that, what, my stuff stinks. I have to say, like, what am I doing? Why is this cycle continuously going on? So I had to put the pause button, stop sending those long text messages when you think something's wrong and, oh my gosh, the relationship is ending, or he doesn't like me, and da 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 da. Chill, sis. Just chill. And honestly, it's self-control. That did not take on until after I turned 30. And I made some mistakes in between 30 and the age where I am now. I had to grow. You're always evolving every single day. No one is going to get the dating and relationship thing to a science. You're not going to get it. Like, you're not going to be the total master of it, but you can grow and you'll become more powerful, more effective in your communication and your relationships with people, but you'll never always get it right, because we're always learning each and every day. So for me, it was after my, after 30s. And honestly, to be very transparent with you, this year I entered into a relationship. I haven't been in a relationship since 2011. This year I decided to enter into a relationship, and the relationship has ended. And it ended a lot because of my trust issues and also the disagreements that we had between each other. But that moment helped me to see my flaws and what I am doing that shows a lack of control in communicating how I feel, a lack of control in listening. Sometimes we need to listen to people. Listen. We don't always need to respond. But I went through that. And when I went through that situation, I got to the root of why. I'm always learning the whys, but this year it hit different, because I started to see my trust issues were deep. It was with my dad. And I thank God that my dad and I reconnected in 2016. And we've been, the relationship is continuously growing and evolving. I called him and I talked to him about it. And he said, baby girl, and this is the greatest thing to my dad, a father who was absent in a child's life could ever say. He said, baby girl, your trust issues isn't with your exes or any dude. It's because of me. And when we talked about that, it really helped me to see this journey of continued healing and growth. So that specific situation earlier this year, it really sealed that space of healing for me. And I just continue to walk through it. So yeah, the 30s is the year of growth and development. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'm just listening, taking in everything and understanding, you know, that some things as a man, when we're dealing with these women in dating situations, I know sometimes there's healing that needs to take place within us and also within the ladies. And so if we don't have somebody that's patient and understanding of these things, if you're not really candid and brutally honest and say, hey, you know, I don't know, will you ladies do that? Will you ladies, you know, really say, hey, you know what? You know, I have some issues that I'm dealing with, because, you know, sometimes that'll run men away. And I think it's important to be brutally honest about things. And I think that's one of those things, I think, from you sharing that, Tania, that maybe we should just be honest and say, hey, you know what, please be patient with me. And we'll get into that in just a little bit too. But let me go ahead. I know, Shay, you want to jump in there. Go ahead. The same question, kind of your experience. What was it that made you realize, hey, I'm tripping?
Well, I would say it was my grandmother, you know, because me and my grandmother, we had a very good relationship. So I talked to her about anything, you know, like all the stuff. And she just said, you know what? You're so temperamental. And I was like, excuse me? And so it was her that was like, you know, as it relates to relationships with men, just chill out. Like, you know, just be easy, you know, be casual. You can state what it is you want, what it is you're looking for. But the reality is, when his mind is made up, you will know. So if you are weeks in and you applying this pressure to say, okay, what's up? What we doing? Where we going? What's the plan? I mean, what do you have in mind? They can't take that. It's like, girl, you giving them 10 questions on top. Like, where do you want me to start? Okay, well, you're not even answering fast enough. So it's like, do you want this? So it was really my grandmother that got me together to say, you need to pump the brakes. You need to breathe easy. You need to relax, take a deep breath, and just enjoy getting to know someone. And I will also say, when I got, you know, in my 30s as well, that's when things began to click. And that is also, too, where Christ came in to really just check me and show me myself, because I had gone through therapy and through my healing process or whatever the case is. But I mean, it's a never ending thing, because the reality is we experience so much and we suppress a lot of things. So when we're triggered unknowingly and those things come up, we run, you know, we like, hold on, what is coming up, you know? And of course you don't want those things to unravel in front of someone that you're getting to know, whether you feel safe with this person or not. So it was my grandma for me that really just checked me. Like I said, I was aware of my behaviors. And I will also say too, the last relationship that I was in, you know, the individual was like, you're reactive. And I'm like, excuse me? And so knowing what it means, but I'm like, let me look this up. I do act like that. You know, I don't respond. I am very like, just rah, intense. Like, so yeah. I mean, it was my grandma. It was, you know, God. It was my last relationship. All those things.
Yeah, I agree with you too, Shay, about having somebody that can check you in love. You know, especially as a man, you got to be able to, I have to respect you for you to check me and say, hey, brother, you are missing the mark. You ain't treating these girls right. I mean, you know, you got to hear it from the right person, somebody that you really respect. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Like I said, I've never been around a lot of men that I felt like I can trust, you know, because I think that's, you know, I've always developed really close relationships with ladies. So it was very easy getting to know ladies. I, you know, could pull a lady in a minute. And Matt can just make friends with women really quick. And also when it comes to the brothers, if I don't know you from elementary school, if we didn't grow up together, then hey, brother, yeah, we cool, but I ain't gonna be calling you. We ain't gonna be hanging out all the time. It's just that kind of thing. Growing up, because of you have some trust issues at times. Like, look, and then also, and this doesn't really have anything to do with maybe childhood trauma, but when I think because the Lord blessed me to be able to sing and have different gifts, and so even as a youngster, even some people in church, they be jealous because I be singing and getting a lot of attention and getting invited to all these different churches to sing and do other things. And then even when having a woman that I was dating, even younger, the way we grew up in Syracuse, New York, and hey, I might be walking down the street, me and my girl, we're just chilling, having a good time, and brothers want to try you, to try your manhood, to see, if you can hold it down. And so these are the kind of things, and it's just makes you not trust. It's the way I grew up, in New York. You just can't trust too many people. But I thank God for the men that I grew up with from the church. The church was very vital. And seeing these men that encouraged me and was, at least that I saw that was in church that seemed to be good role models and, giving you some lines. Hey, brother, this is how you should treat a woman. This is what you should do. And growing up, I got some bad advice from men, and so I was taught to say different things to ladies, and it worked to cause them to do things that maybe they shouldn't have been doing at young ages. And so that's and so it's very important who you have around you, very important who you have around you. And so I think that's very important too. And you know what? The Lord had spoke something to me one day, and I had to think about this. And he said, if your father was in your life, do you think that your life would be better or would it be worse? And I began to think about that thing and say, you know what? It could have been worse because of the kind of man that my father was. And so we're going to get into that part as far as the healing and the redemption and God coming in and healing and delivering and bringing that stability as a man to me. I was raised by God. My relationship, I had to take days fasting where I had to isolate myself. I mean, I didn't go party and I didn't do none of that. In order for the Lord to really work on me and to get healing and to get set free and to become the man that I am today, I had to separate myself from people for just a short time to make sure that I was healed and I was delivered from the things that took place in my past. And I think that's necessary to consecrate unto the Lord and just, get into his word and pray. And we're going to get into that too as well, because we definitely got some more time. Did anybody want to say anything before I move to the next? I mean, go ahead and jump in or however you feel, whatever you want to say, definitely jump in there.
I definitely wanted to touch on my besties online. And she said everyone needs that one person who will check them in love. And it's so important. And Tomell, you touched on that as well. That support system and having that space of family, of trust, it was very vital and very important within my growth and healing. I had to trust, like I mentioned, I didn't have someone saying you're beautiful, you're powerful, you're amazing, you're cherished, you're, appreciated. I didn't have that. So with me, going, giving my life to Christ and, the Lord surrounded me around women and they were all older. A lot of the people who I came up with or during my time, my early relationship building with Christ, I wasn't around people that were my age. And it wasn't by force. It was literally, it was just the move of God. I do believe it because of how I needed to heal. I didn't need to heal with people who are still dabbling in the issues that I'm still dealing with or not, humble enough to seek help and want change. So he blessed me with older women who I'm still connected to this day. And my best friend, she will check me. Her thing will always be, all right, T, You know, I'm your best friend. You know, I love you. But when she starts that off, I'm like, I'm ready. So one of the things is, you know, when someone is going through a stage of healing and growth, they have to be willing and trust the people who's pouring into their lives. It's not going to always be comfortable. It's not going to always be pleasant and, you know, just carefree. It's a moment to grow, and change does not always feel comfortable. You're not going to always like what your friends say or what your support system or your pastor or your mentors. You're not going to always like what they have to say, or it's not going to always feel good, but you have to trust them enough and respect them enough, and knowing that the wisdom that they have for you is going to help you grow. So everyone needs someone who will check them in love. We cannot grow and heal by ourselves. The thoughts that go on in our minds, and we're going through trauma and we're dealing with childhood rejection and abandonment, try to deal with that on our own, we'll get stuck. And the cycle will always repeat. It will continue. And you're thinking like, why isn't my life changing? Or why I'm not progressing in my life? You're not, because you can't do this on your own. You can't do this on your own. And I always say this all the time. Nothing great comes out of remaining comfortable. You have to break out of the mode. You have to break out of the space, the pattern, and really walk into that change. So accountability, the support system and the trust is needed. And I'm just grateful for my tribe, my friends, my family. And even in this, with me maturing, it helped build my family together, even with my mom. So it's needed. As you're growing and healing, you have to be careful. You have to be mindful of who's around you and really trust who's in your space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think what you ladies are saying is just so vital. And it's really heart touching, I'm sure, to a lot of ladies, because I'm sure a lot of ladies have experienced some of the things that you have experienced and some of the things that you shared. And see, where I like what you were saying to Tania, you too, Shay, about accountability and having someone that you respect, your village, your circle around you. Is so important to have those positive influences and those that's going to really, tell you, hey, you know what? Hey, you're tripping, you're missing the mark, and you need to work on this area. But it has to come from a source that you really respect and that you really trust. And so that makes a lot of sense to me. And I used to like when I was in my dating experiences as well. And it's just sometimes it's tough. Like I said, it's tough for me sometimes to deal with women, and this is what that have really what you call really potty mouths, mother effer b and all that stuff, and I'll beat you f, all that f boy and all those cuss words, and say this is real, and so I realized that some ladies that I've met in the past, that's all they knew, and that's not my language. That's not, calling you out of your name and belittling you and stuff. But that comes from stuff that's happened in childhood. And I realized in one situation that I was listening to a phone call from one of my ex ladies and her mother, and they was talking on the phone and they were mad at each other. And I heard the same thing. They were just cussing each other out. And I realized that she didn't respond well to, hey, you know what? Hey, let's talk about it. We can work it out. She responded to me when I got angry. Because that's what she was used to, that toxic behavior, that belittling, that talking. I got her attention then, but I couldn't get her attention being nice. I wish I could have, but that comes from childhood trauma. And I realized, hey, wait a minute here. I hear her mother is cussing her out. I felt so bad after hearing that conversation. Like, man, this is where she gets it from. But you know what? It's real. It's real. And so it's just a lot of issues. And like I said, I don't want to act like I've done it. I haven't done any wrong or anything like that. I know there's things that I've said or done that may have, pushed the envelope. And when you are in a relationship with somebody, you know what to say to push the buttons. You know what to say. It don't have to be any cussing and all that stuff. You know what to say to get up under their skin. And it's sometimes it's not what you say, but how you say it. And it can come off really, toxic. And I'm one of those people that I do want to come to a resolution, but I have to work on myself as far as, if you're taking it to a level of, you want to go there and you want to get raw and you want to get nasty and dirty, let's go. But I have to check myself and be like, okay, okay. It just depends on who you're dealing with. So it's so important to not be in relationships with people who are not understanding. And let me ask you ladies this. I know I went pretty long on that, but I want to ask you ladies this.
I think Shay wanted to share before we...
Say that again.
Shay, did you have something? I think Shay has something.
Yeah, jump in there. Yeah, jump in there.
So what I wanted to say was, and I have to piggyback just a little bit. As you were speaking about your dad, someone asked you, hey, if he was around, do you think your life would have been better or worse? And the reality is, I would say maybe a few times in the past few years, I've had to ask myself that question. I had this longing for a father that I didn't know. The only thing that I did know that people assured me of was, oh, he loved his kids. But the reality was he was also an addict. So though I'm loving my father that I never met, because all I have is my mom and the way that she's treating me. So of course I have this longing, almost, if you will, like a fantasy, like, oh man, if my father was around. But then it dawned on me that the reality is, though you want this and you could have experienced this, one is, would I be the person that I am today if he was actually alive and present in my life? And then two, who's to say that he would have been who the people said that he was? I mean, he could have loved me in his own way, but did he know what love looked like? So even thinking about that, that really just checked me in a sense to say, well, what you desire may not be what it actually is. And even as you were speaking about the young lady that you were dating that had this potty mouth, I think that it is so important to get to know the people that we are dating. When I talk to people, I'm interested to really know about you, because what the Lord, I would say probably this year, what he showed me and how he was dealing with me is, who taught people? That is what we really have to look at, is everything that we know is learned behavior, whether it was directly learned, whether it was, you were taught this stuff due to your environment. Who taught you? We can say, oh, you're this age, you're that age, you should know how to conduct yourself, you should know this. But why? If this is all that this person knows, why would they know anything different? And then two, if it seemingly worked for everyone else, and I can't really see that, okay, their behavior is toxic, so on and so forth, why would I need to change? Why would I need to change? So that's really where I am in my journey, just really extending grace to people. Not that I have to accept less than what I know I want and deserve, but I also had to learn that settling and compromise are two completely different things. So whereas when I was younger, I felt like, oh, I'm not settling. You wasn't tolerating nothing. But the reality was, I didn't know what compromise was and what that looked like. If it wasn't my way, then just go on somewhere. So I'm really enjoying this conversation, because we're really, we're pulling off a lot of layers and these are things that people don't talk about.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I really do believe that a lot of individuals who are watching can really relate to these experiences, because I'm pretty sure some of them have experienced those same things. And just to be brutally honest, where we're at, and before I continue, did you want to jump in there and say something, Tania?
No, I think Shay, she's hitting on everything. No, but this discussion is definitely is really good. And like how Shay said, it's pulling the layers. We're having a conversation that a lot of people don't want to discuss, but we're intentional about making sure that these cycles stop, in the lives of a lot of people. So I am enjoying this conversation.
Absolutely. And I thank you for wanting to have this conversation. This was a discussion that Tania wanted to have. And when she sent the discussion to me, I said, oh, yeah, definitely. I think that'd be very important. It'd be the healing should take place from this discussion as well. I hope so. I hope in the comments that you guys are realizing, hey, we need to do a self-evaluation and check our own selves and really, take a look within and say, am I really, treating others the way that I should, especially in dating relationships? Am I showing them the love and the care that I should be showing them sincerely? Is it genuine? Am I trying to get something out of a relationship that's selfish or just for me? Or am I really concerned about that other individual's well-being? And so we really need to take a look and say, you know what, it can't be all about me all the time. It's got to be about us. And I think if you care about somebody as much as you care about yourself, I think those are some steps or some introspection within yourself that you can say, hey, you know what, if I do feel this, then maybe I do have a genuine relationship because I really feel that, I really love this woman, or I really feel like we have a great connection and I don't want to mess it up. And so now what is important, and you ladies have been so honest, and I love your honesty. But what do you think is the most important thing that a man should know about you moving forward because of the traumas, because of the things that you experience? What in the dating process, what should men know about you? What do we have to do to be able to? Well, let me not say that, because men can cater to what you're saying or what you say you desire and what you want, but just generally, what is it, ladies, that you need? What do you need for him to be?
I would say, for starters, to be open and building a friendship. This establish that foundation. And I had to learn from error, because like I said, I was always looking for love. So I jumped in like, look, let's go get married next week.
I'm with that. Let's go. We're wasting too much time, but no, go ahead.
But I didn't understand, I was trying to fill that void any means necessary, however way it was going to happen. I just wanted to feel loved. So I went in, just ready to jump the gun, ready to jump and do things, when I didn't understand the beauty of friendship. When you're in the space of friendship, you don't have all of these high expectations on, within the first 5 days of knowing the person or meeting the person. You're coming in with the space of, hey, Mama Moulton, you're coming in the space of learning the person. So get to learn me. Get to, have fun, enjoy life, learn what, my hobbies. When you're building that friendship, you're going to see my flaws. You're going to see how I am when I'm upset, when I'm feeling down. You're going to know how to support me. When you go in with the friendship, you're not going in with the lenses of judgment. When you go in with high expectations, you have these expectations for you want to put this person at a certain status. Oh, this is my husband. This is going to be my wife. So you're going to look at every flaw, everything that they do, and judge them without even really knowing the person, because you're trying to put them in this space, in this category, when you don't know. You have this idea of how you want your husband to be. You have this idea of how you want your wife to be, but you don't know the person. So for me, I love the beauty of friendship. I love the beauty of just learning, trial and error, like just chill. Just chill and really just be there. Be my friend. Because when you establish that friendship, love, the attachment is probably already there. You're attracted to each other, but you're not in a space of allowing that to cloud the space of learning the person. You have these lenses on, like, and you're not learning the person. So I think for me is really friendship. Let's just go out, have fun, enjoy, laugh, chill, relax. Because for me, like I mentioned, I didn't have community. I didn't have unity. I didn't have harmony. So I came from toxicity, and I came in looking for, just all of that. And, I didn't even know how to give unity and harmony to somebody else, because I came from those spaces. So for me, it's really just building that friendship. Yeah.
Well, so what I would say is, for one, handle me with care. And just like Tanel was saying, I definitely understand and I value the friendship more, but more so looking at the gentleman that I'm interested in, and we're interested in one another as a brother in Christ first. Because if I look at you in this manner, then I'm not putting all these ideas in my head. Like, I won't go before myself, as Tanea was saying, where you're like, oh, well, is this my husband? And let me check the list. And is that? And is it like, no, let's just develop a relationship naturally. Let me look at you as a child of God, because I'm going to just love you with the love of Christ. I'm going to take my time and get to know you. And I think that what happens a lot of times where dating is so difficult, if you will, for believers, is because you have the women that are within the church. We're playing this waiting game, if you will. We're told, hey, don't approach a guy. He's going to come to you. Don't let a man know that you're interested. He's gonna come to you. And so we're just sitting on a log. So quite naturally, when we do meet someone and we're like, okay, we're both interested, we both love the Lord, different things like that, you're instantly going from, hey, how you doing, to when you want to get married. And I think that turns a lot of men off, because I'm a part of other, single believers groups. And what I see is the men are turned off. We aren't going to these gentlemen saying, hey, let me get to know you. What do you like? What are some of your interests? It's just, I'm seeing you as a prospect. And we have to stop doing that. Even for those that have trauma, and I believe for men as well, the traumas are, they grow up, help me, Father. They grow up as fatherless young men. They have a lot of responsibility on them, placed on their mother, and just saying like, hey, my father should be here. I'm going to step up and do what I think needs to be done, but I don't really have the tools to be a man. So it's just pressure on top of pressure. And so we have to actually consider that these are traumatic experiences that young men are going through as well, and take those things into consideration. Because when you're coming off the bag, and for some, I mean, my mother has treated me like I was her husband, there is this bar and expectation that is set. I mean, we're not going to get anywhere. We're not going to get anywhere not being considerate of what everyone's experience has been. And I don't think that, we value people, and the world teaches us, not to value the health and the well-being of people. It's just, what can you do for me? This is what needs to be done. And it has to stop, because though we all are broken in some area of our lives, we can't mend. We can't help one another heal. We don't know how to love. We just jacked up, and it's going to continue. If nobody says, I'm choosing to love you differently, I'm going to love you like Christ said, and we can go from there.
Yeah. Can I share something too?
Sure, absolutely. Go ahead.
I don't even know why I forgot to mention this. So recently, I ain't gonna put all my business out there, but I am sharing. I'm very transparent, but this is a space where I'm really like protective over in this dating stage. So this gentleman who I've met, he said something to me that really changed. Like it was just amazing. He said, I've been in prayer. He prayed and he asked God to show him and teach him how to handle me, like how to handle me with care, with love, with support. I think when people are dealing, I think there was a question and it says, what is the advice that we can give women who are dating a broken man? I think we all have to be, we have to be patient. We have to be gentle, but you also need to know why you're in this. Why are you connecting with this person? If you're just, I'm just dating, I'm trying to figure it out, you're not going to handle this person with care. The best thing is to just walk away. Do that woman service by just walking away, because your intentions, you're not going to be intentional with getting to learn them. You're not going to be intentional with caring for them. You're not going to be intentional with, having patience. Someone that's dealing with trauma, there are triggers that they're fighting and trying to deal with daily. So they're going through battles within themselves that they may even bring into the relationship. But if we're not careful or intentional about why we're connected with that person, we're going to hurt them. We're going to do more damage on them than they're already experiencing. So I think the main thing for me, what I think is also friendship, but also having a prayer life, having a relationship with God, having the accountability. I need you to be somebody, you need to be, have some type of covering or accountability, somebody who's going to check you, because you can't be careless with people who are going through trauma, who are battling with stuff that they didn't have the space or the time or the environment that they could pull the load off of their shoulders. So I think it's really like we have to seek God when we're engaging with people. And really, like, because God only knows how to treat his children. He knows what they need. So we have to seek wisdom, accountability partners, your mentors, spiritual advisors, whomever that you have to be, my mate has to be, have that type of structure. Like, you have to have that. And though I've gone through a lot of healing, the triggers, it can pop up at any time, because there's some unresolved issues that we don't know, some residue that's still there that can pop up at any time. So I just think, I think for me it was the friendship, and also just being patient and learning and seeking God on how to handle me with love and care. So, yep.
I think that's great advice. I think that's really great advice for every man. And I think you can switch it vice versa for every woman, is to learn how to love that individual. And that person, I think what the guy who was, I don't know if he was interested in you or a friend, that was some good question, or a good way to kind of to get to know you and really find out, who you really are, or really having that desire to really get to know you. And so I think that's an awesome question. I think we should kind of, take that into consideration moving forward. And hey, maybe that's the way that we may want to approach things, and really, really getting to know someone sincerely. And like you were saying, through friendship and things of that nature. And also, I really believe it's sometimes necessary for therapy. I know a lot of Christians don't want to see a counselor or go through therapy, but I think it's necessary, not so much always to get the spiritual counseling, because we know our pastors and first ladies are going to give us the word of God and give us some sound advice most times, but someone who has an unbiased view can look at things from a different perspective and really kind of show you some things about yourself that could be helpful. So I do promote therapy, going to see a therapist, that kind of thing, to heal as well. And so we know through prayer, God can heal us and deliver us. And he said in this word of God that many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord would deliver us out of them all. And that covers a lot, And so I believe that. And so we're talking about it. I'm going to go to some questions. We got about 15 more minutes left. I didn't want to keep it longer than an hour and a half. But I want to go to some questions as well. And before we go to the questions, we take one or two questions. Let's answer this question, because we want to talk about solutions as well. And my solution, and then I'll go to you ladies, of course, is getting close to Jesus through prayer. Surrender all. You can be honest with God. I believe when we are honest with God, that's when God can really help us. I go to God. God, I'm hurting, God. I'm having some issues. My temper, God. I need more patience. Lord, help me. I'm messing up. You can go to him just like that. It doesn't have to be anything eloquent or anything that way. But Lord, help me. I need your help, and we need to go to the God sincerely and ask God to help us. And because once we start being honest, I know God can truly help us. And one thing I want to say too is we can't depend on the love that we have for God, but we have to depend on the love that God has for us. His love is unconditional. His love is not like our love. His love is unconditional, and he is the only person that can give you unconditional love. And I'll say another person too, usually, and I say, mama gonna love you. In most cases, mother A mother will give you unconditional love in most cases. I know it's different how people growing up and have different parent situations, but for me, I know that my mother, through all the stuff I put her through some days, she loved me. She loved me unconditionally. And go ahead, ladies, you can just jump in there. I just wanted to say that I believe it's going to take that close relationship with Jesus Christ to get healing within.
I agree with you 100%. I think, well, for me, my change, the change that happened within my life just overall was when I gave my life to Christ. And the scripture that saved me, remind you guys, I had trust issues from childhood. And I said, God, why do you don't want to love me? I don't believe that you really want to love me. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 saved my life. It saved my life. Trust in the Lord with all thy heart and lean not into thine own understandings. And in all thy ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your paths. You have to trust and believe that God loves you. You have to trust it. And it does not happen overnight. I'm telling you, it took a lot of healing and a lot of pulling the layers of rejection, of hurt, of disappointment off for me to really believe that God, like, you love me, like you really, really, really love me. All of, you love every flaw, every, insecurity, whatever I have, God, you love me. And so when I open up myself and, just remaining in worship and studying and knowing who you have around you, connecting with women within the church and my pastors, and God really gave me solid people who helped me grow and mature in the word and grow in my relationship with Christ. So that helped a lot. And also with therapy, I didn't realize that I was struggling so bad with depression until I was in my graduate studies for mental health counseling. And I said, how in the world can I help people when I cannot help myself? I can't get out of this. So therapy changed my life. Prayer changed my life. And, and it just continued. The healing process continued. I fell off, I was sidetracked and everything, but the healing process started and it continued. So for me, it was definitely that, and things just continue to change. So
Powerful. Go ahead, Shay.
Yeah, that is powerful. I'm just so grateful to God because, when you are in like the thick of all your stuff, I know for me, I did not see light at the end of the tunnel. Like all I saw was darkness. All I saw was the chaos. It was like I was in a whirlwind of just the stuff just steadily coming up. And I really desired healing, but I didn't know that I could even ask for it. And so therapy for me definitely helped as well because I did not have a voice growing up. So as I'm going through this trauma, I was internalizing everything. I made a very conscious decision not to hurt people with my words because I knew how damaging that they could be. So I always wanted to use my voice to speak life into people. However, the negativity, I turned it inwardly. And so when I started going to counseling or therapy, I think I was seeing my therapist maybe a good year or two before I found out that he was a minister, because throughout our sessions, I was constantly connecting my faith. And I'm just like, where is God in all of this? And so, even how God changed my desire to have a relationship. Like once he let me know how vital marriages were to him, it was like, oh, okay, well, if that's what you want from me, then that's what I want. Like change my heart. And he began to show me how important, kingdom relationships were, kingdom marriages were. And it didn't happen overnight. But what really saved me was him, number one, and being discipled. And so even now being a minister within a deliverance ministry, like I understand that a lot of us, we have strongholds, we have, things that grow up with us due to our traumas, because trauma is the gateway to all our mess. And if the enemy can get us when we're very young, when we're most vulnerable, when we're pure in heart, that's what he's going to do. So, I'm just thankful to the Lord, for his saving grace and, for his healing and his deliverance, and just knowing that it is a process. So, I just encourage all of us to just be patient with ourselves and just go through the process. It's not going to be easy. There are going to be ups and downs, but we matter, we're worth it, and just really get to know how Christ loves us. And I think that as it relates to relationships, we always want to trust people, but God didn't tell us to trust anybody but him. All he said was to love everyone. So if we make it our mission to literally love the hell out of people instead of trying to trust them. So when we get to a point, when we get into relationships, we're not necessarily trusting the person more so than we're trusting that God connected me to this individual. So I have to get to know you. So as of right now, I'm trusting God that I see within you, and I'm trusting God that's within me, that, whatever, our spirits are connected and aligned and so on and so forth. And I think that, of course, we have to bring God into all of it and just know that he can do it all, but he put people on this earth, people that will help you with your mental health. But we have to be honest and say, I'm struggling first.
Absolutely. Beautiful, beautiful things, beautiful thoughts, very powerful stuff. And so I love this scripture. One of my favorite scriptures is Ephesians 3:20. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly above all that we actually think, according to the power that works within us. And so that's one of my favorite scriptures. And I believe that God can do exceedingly above all that we think, even in these situations where we may feel depressed, or the backgrounds where we come from, where there was pain and depression. God can heal us. God can heal us. And these ladies are prime examples of God's grace and God's love, and examples of how God can really change your life, strengthen you, and help you to overcome those challenges and those things that we're still facing, we're still trying to overcome. And so I think they gave you some sound advice, some sound wisdom and knowledge from their perspectives and their experiences. And I'm hoping and praying that it blessed your soul, that it blessed your heart, and that your mind is being renewed by the power of Jesus Christ as we discuss this particular topic. And so I want to give you guys an opportunity to ask some questions. If you have some questions for these ladies, I'm going to give them a chance to let you know how you can get a hold of them, to tell you a little bit about their ministries. And any parting words, you ladies, that you like to have. And while I'm waiting for a question or two, any parting words, anything that you'd like to leave with the audience tonight on this broadcast?
I would like to leave with you guys. It's okay to find the root, to go through the process of learning the whys. Why are certain things triggering you? Why, and it's okay. You're not ineffective. You're not what is the word? You're a lot of times we think that looking at the hurt and the things that we battle with so much, we assume that we're not enough, but you are. And the healing, when you take that step and going into healing and deliverance and becoming another awesome part of you, like an awesome you, and getting to know who and how God made you from the beginning, not from what life and the battles and the challenges that you experience and how that created you, because that's not you. That's a part of that's a part of your journey, but who God made you from the beginning it's a blessing to get into learn the original you from the beginning. And it's okay to go through that process of healing. It's okay to say that I'm not okay. It's okay to say I need therapy, that I need help, that I need somebody to hear me. It's okay. Because sometimes when you close yourself out from that, it's just you in this space. But God doesn't want you to be in a box. He does not want us to go through life and going through challenges and despair and hurt and rejection. That wasn't his plan for our lives. So it's not the plan for you. That's not the plan for anyone that's on this live, whether you're watching it now or the replay. God's plans for you are it's of greatness, it's of joy, it's of peace, it's of purpose. No matter what happens, your life has a purpose, and God has an awesome, beautiful plan for everything that we go through. And he has you in mind. You are the apple of his eye. You are his child. You are loved. You are cherished. And just know that whatever you go through is a platform of your growth, of your development. And everything that we experience is to pour into somebody else. We're all on this panel for a reason. And we all have gone through something, but it was to pour wisdom into you. So continue to be all of who God has created you to be.
Absolutely. Beautiful words of encouragement. Absolutely. And you can go in there, Shay, and jump in there if you want to.
Oh, yeah. So what I want to leave you all with is to be kind to yourself. I think that, you know, in life, you've probably been beat down to the ground, and enough is enough. You know, definitely be kind to yourself with your words, how you treat your body, all of these things, because they matter. And even though, you know, in dating, you may not be someone's preference per se, and that's okay. That doesn't devalue you at all. You are still very valuable. And we also have to learn to respect people's preferences, right? Understanding what suitability and what compatibility looks like. And as it relates to compatibility, that's often aligned with people's preferences, and that's okay. But first and foremost, be kind to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with God. A prayer that I have often is, Lord, help me with me. And Lord, change my desires to meet my desires. Because what I believe is, in my heart of hearts, I want what God wants for me. But at the same token, my desire right now, my fleshly desires, I know that it's not what I need. So be honest with God, cherish you, love on you, and through learning how Christ loves you, I think that that is so very important to understand what love looks like through the way that the Lord loves us. And even as it relates to your triggers, because I saw someone speaking about that in the comments, it is our responsibility to learn what triggers us. Once you realize, hey, you know, when I hear someone say X, Y, and Z, I get mad. Why do you get mad? Well, it made me think about something someone said to me. Why? Like, we really have to dig deep, and we owe it to ourselves. Also know that God has restorative power. So for all the years that the locust took from you, for all the years of your childhood that was jacked up, I'm a living witness and testimony that the Lord will restore it all. So be encouraged above all else. And just know that I love you guys.
Beautiful, beautiful words, powerful words, powerful words. And so these ladies have shared their heart, and I really do believe from this discussion that some healing is taking place. Some wonderful words of wisdom and encouragement, and definitely inspiration. And so I love this scripture. Whenever you're feeling down, whenever you're not feeling your best, Philippians 4:8 says, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. And so think on the good things that have taken place in your life. Think on those things that you've done, or those fun times. Think on those things that are positive, that will definitely encourage you to continue to grow and be more like Jesus, because we all are growing. No one has arrived yet. Every day we're striving to be more like Jesus Christ and to be a better version of ourselves. And I heard from the ladies. The ladies talked about accountability. Definitely, I was taking notes, you guys, and learning how to be a friend, and getting to know someone genuinely. Developing a genuine relationship with them, nothing forced. We all talked about therapy, and also getting healing through prayer, therapy and a close relationship with Jesus Christ. And I believe Shay was saying respecting preferences. And so if we take all these things in consideration, I think that we can grow and we can be better. We can be better in these relationships and better in our personal relationships. And I do want to give a testimony in saying that my relationship with my father has improved, even though I haven't met him many times and spent a lot of time with him. I did get a chance to spend some time with him. Was able to even pray for him during the revival, and our relationship is getting better. And so I appreciate God for at least giving me an opportunity to be able to know a little bit about my father, before my life is over and his is over. And so I appreciate that. I thank God for that. And so how can we get a hold of you ladies, everybody who's viewing? I know you guys operate in your different ministries and you have different gifts and talents. How can the audience get a hold of you guys and connect with you?
Well, everyone can connect with me on Facebook. My name is, as it is on the screen, Shay Carey. I don't do Instagram too much, but if that is your preference, my name on Instagram is Crowned with Favor. And it's no E in it. It's just CROWNDWITHFAVOR. And that is how you guys can connect.
Wonderful.
And you guys can connect with me as well on Facebook. My name is shown on the screen. I am on Instagram at Tania M. Pear. And I look forward to connecting with you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are some wonderful women. These are some wonderful women of God. And definitely connect with them on a personal basis. And, definitely if there's an opportunity, you probably could get to know them a little bit better if they allow the opportunity in a personal way or even in another way if they're open to that. But once again, my name is Elder Tomell Brown of Fruit Bearer Ministries. You can connect with me on all three of my pages. I have a singing page, a ministry page, and also my personal page. And also, please go to my YouTube page and subscribe and become part of my channel, because these live discussions like this, I'm going to be adding them to my YouTube channel so people can take a look at them anytime they like to. And I believe these live discussions are changing lives, and God is being glorified. So glory to God. This has been wonderful. I mean, it's really been a blessing, definitely talking with these ladies. And hey, as you see from the comments, ladies, when you take a look back at the broadcast, you'll see how so many people were blessed and are encouraged from everything that you said. And thank you for being so transparent. Thank you, Tania. Thank you, Shay. And this is brought to you by Fruit Bearer Ministries and SS&K, Single Saved with No Kids. And if you'd like to join the group, this is a group that is exclusive to men and women with kids. And so if you'd like to join and that's your situation, please feel free to send a member request. We'll review it and you can become a member. And also there's some other beautiful, wonderful groups that I'm a part of that you can be a part of. And there's no niche and no exclusiveness. You can just join the groups. But God bless you guys. Tania, Shay, anything else? All right. Well, we love you all with the love of the Lord Jesus. And you guys be encouraged, be inspired. And Jesus loves you. And that's just not a cliche. It's real. Jesus does love you. Be encouraged, be inspired, and stay motivated. All right, you guys. Blessings. Love you with the love of the Lord Jesus.